For the first time in quite some time, a long, long time, 7, 8 years, maybe 10 years, something in that range, Alabama fans on National Signing Day, and make no mistake about it, this is not the official signing day, but it's almost become National Signing Day for a lot of programs that inked almost all of their commits on December 20th. Alabama fans, you can't just stop on that first line of rankings. You're going to have to go down a few spots. So I know that's a little challenging. It's number 6, according to 247 Sports, but it's not a done deal. And of course, it's only a ranking, and February will close the deal on all the signees across the nation. We bring in Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama. Got to join him on his show, The Way It Is, Fox at 97.9, weekdays, Monday through Friday, 2 to 4 Central Time. Stephen, how you doing? Tons of work to do. You got to prepare for the bowl game, but now we got all this signing day business as well.
I'm kind of like the coaches right now, Mark. Do I really like this early signing period? I mean, it gives you much more to do, much more to prepare for, a lot of guys to break down. But for Alabama, more defensive oriented with this class. I know it's trying to get 23 guys. It had 14 signed on Wednesday, and of those 14, 9 are on the defensive side of the football, in particular 3 in the secondary when you talk Savion Smith, Jalen Armour-Davis, and Josh Jobe. In that defensive backfield, Alabama losing 6 DBs to graduation and the National Football League upon the end of the playoffs. So Nick Saban very much so heavy on the defensive backfield. It actually also wanted Ndab Joseph out of the Florida area, but Joseph flipped from Alabama to Georgia. Kirby Smart getting him to sign with the Dogs 2018 signing class. So Joseph flipped, but of the 14 signees from Alabama, thus far 9 coming on the defensive side of the football.
Okay, this one kid is a very interesting prospect because he hasn't played much football at all. We had a chance to interview him right here on Mark Rogers TV about 6 months ago as he was doing his work at one of the major football prep schools, and that's Ayabi Anoma. Talk about this kid. The athleticism just has to be off the charts for him to be rated this high with this kind of lack of experience.
It's unbelievable. He's number 4 on the ESPN 300. Ayabi Anoma, and ESPN 300, Ayabi Anoma. And this guy, defensive ends, got speed, the ability to rush off the edge, quick hands, love his body type, a guy that can really be that quick twitch guy as a defensive end. And especially with Alabama losing Deshaun Hand to the National Football League after this year, Josh Frazier leaves. You also lose Jamar King, if I'm not mistaken, a JUCO defensive end. Yes, you return Raekwon Davis and Isaiah Buggs, 2 quality guys, but Anoma, a guy that's a 5-star, very highly touted, can come in, push for playing time, and possibly start. And like I mentioned, this is a signing class. Nick Saban very much so want to get that defense in order. Now, he did pick up some offensive guys, Xavier Williams, a wide receiver, Tommy Brown, and Emil Ikior, 2 offensive linemen, but he really wanted to get that defensive line, knowing that you're losing a lot of pieces to the National Football League. So to get Ibaya Anoma, huge hard commitment for Alabama. He has not sent in his letter of intent yet. Could send in that LOI within the next couple of days or in February, but did give Alabama that hard commitment. My main thing, Mark, is as much as these coaches love signing this type of talent, and as much as the national media loves talking about this type of talent, can we get some guys that we can pronounce the first and last name on?
Well, that's our job, Stephen. We've got to get a little bit better at that, I suppose. But, yeah, it is a challenge when you look at some of these consonant vowel configurations and try to figure out exactly how that's supposed to come out of your mouth. But you'll have some time to work on that and get familiar with some of these guys. And Alabama fans will need to get familiar with the 14 signees. And so still a lot of work for Nick Saban to do. So speak to the national perspective on the signing class. You see names all over the map. And I know that this is typical, but going to places like Utah and Connecticut and so forth for some of this talent. And then also, Stephen, as you well know, I'm talking to broadcasters and bloggers all over the map covering the top programs. And I see where the Ohio States, the Clemsons, and I could go down the list, have really locked in on this being the signing day and getting almost all of their work done, Georgia included, almost all of their work done for this December 21st date, where it seems as though Nick Saban still, there's a lot of loose ends out there and a lot of things that he can do to finalize this class.
Well, nationally right now, I mean, of course, a lot of Crimson Tide fans want this class to be a #1 class. Right now, you mentioned, according to 247 Sports, it stands at 6, and that's one of the reasons primarily Ndop Joseph flipped from Alabama to Georgia. But I think with the Crimson Tide, they wanted to address a lot of needs in this class. Not too many wants, but a ton of needs. But you look at Georgia, who did an unbelievable job getting Justin Fields, the #1 rated dual threat quarterback. I think Georgia signed 6 or 7 5-stars in this signing class. Kirby Smart, Mel Tucker, checking off every single thing, including getting Brenton Cox on the defensive side of the football, a young man who at one point was hard committed to Ohio State. And Georgia gets him to flip from the Buckeyes to the Bulldogs. So give Kirby Smart a lot of credit. This is his first, real big-time class. And Georgia fans very excited about things to come. When you talk about in year 2 under Kirby Smart, you go to the SEC championship. You win with a true freshman quarterback in Jake Fromm, who's been highly efficient this year, 21 touchdowns to just 5 interceptions. Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, DeAndre Swift, all running well. The defense is playing out of its mind right now. You're the #2 seed in the college football playoff, and now you're on the verge of getting the #1 signing class. It's already #1 by the SEC standards, but it's probably 2 or 3 from the national standpoint behind Ohio State and Texas. So give Georgia a bunch of credit. Clemson, Dabo Swinney, we know what he's capable of on that recruiting trail. But for Alabama, from a national standpoint, yes, it's 6th right now, but Nick Saban just trying to hammer down needs and still a couple of more needs to go, which is why he's been trying to prepare for a bowl game, get things set in recruiting, and also try to help Jeremy Pruitt, who is now kind of recruiting against him, as Jeremy Pruitt has taken the head coaching job at Tennessee, despite the fact that he will continue coaching the Tide throughout the playoffs. So if you're wondering how tough this is for Alabama, I mean, look at Jeremy Pruitt. He's trying to coach Alabama through the playoff. He's trying to get a staff ready for Tennessee while trying to recruit kids to the Volunteers.
And Jeremy Pruitt's done a fine job there because Butch Jones had a really good class in place. And then as Tennessee's season deteriorated and his coaching status was on the hot seat, and there was a much conjecture there that obviously came to fruition. The class dropped to like 45th just a few days before signing day, and Jeremy Pruitt was able to rally the troops, bring in some recruits, and he knows the blueprint or the footprint across the SEC as well as anyone, and has it in that 25 to 28 range.